storytellers and story lovers. Welcome to West of the Page with Ronan Weatherford Publishing. This is the place where authors open up, ideas unfold, and the indie spirit writes its own story.
I'm Lindsay Flanagan, author, editor, and publisher.
I'm Staci Gonzalez, the social media manager.
I'm Janae Thornton, executive editor.
I'm Alan Smith, director of sales and marketing.
And I'm Sabina Berlin, author, editor, and publisher.
Yeah, so I started writing when I was in graduate school. So I was getting my PhD in something completely unrelated to writing. It was in biostatistics, and it's very math oriented. And I needed something to kind of get me out of that and have a break from that. So I started writing. It was one of those things where I had people in my life say, you should write something, you should write a book. And I thought, well, I'll give it a shot. It was, a great break from math. And so I started writing a fantasy, and it took like 7 years to get that book done. It took forever to get that one done. I had no concept of outlining, of planning. I just, worked on whatever section I could when I could. And that was the beginning of it. And when I finished that book, I thought, I'm never writing another book again. And then it wasn't long after that where I was like, I need to write another book. So that's what started it. It's kind of an addiction. I mean, the same thing, with running a race or, some other activities where you do it once and then you're like, I got to keep doing this.
I love that. So let's talk about Romancing Rivals. So it's the third book in your Maiden's Bay series. Do readers need to read the first two books, or can they start here and go back, or what's the flow of reading like?
They definitely can start here. Each book in the series goes over a different couple. So we see a different couple come together. Of course, they're intertwined in some ways, and you'll see some of the characters from the first book appear in the second and third, and vice versa. So you get hints of these characters and see how they've developed. The series is in timeline order. So the first book takes place, first in time, and then so on. But they're very individual, so that you can start on the second book or you can start on the third book, and it doesn't really take that much away from the story if you didn't know, oh, her cousin is this person from that book type of thing. So you definitely can read them independently. So in this one, we have two competing whale watching tour guides. One is on a boat, taking people out on the boat on the ocean to view orcas, and the other is kind of the new guy. He gives, big extravagant tours on helicopters, and oh, hey, there's whales, so maybe I should just do that too. And of course there's conflict between the two. One's a big environmentalist, and the other is like, corporate, go get them. So they butt heads, and they're rivals, hence the title. But of course they learn and work together to help these whales in a certain situation.
Was this inspired by your background in what you went to grad school for?
I have a graduate degree in biostatistics, and that was kind of analyzing bottlenose dolphins and their strandings and what information we can gather when animals are stranded. And before that, I spent 2.5 years in my undergrad going out on the boat and doing dolphin surveys. So a lot of what you see that's happening in the book, where they're on the boat taking pictures and talking about the dorsal fins and all of that is stuff that I had to do in undergrad, and I put it in here. I try not to be too technical about it, but I also wanted to get it right so people could see what researchers actually do and all the how it could be fun and serious and and, how we can help change the environment at the same time. I'd say the female main character, Bree, she has a lot of my qualities. And I kind of got inspired to write this because I did go out on a whale watching tour in the Pacific Northwest when I was in Vancouver. Went out and saw orcas for the first time in the wild. And usually the tour guides are younger, and there are a lot of women who do this. And I wanted to write a strong female character like that. And definitely an inspiration, was the tour guide on my tour. And that's where I got the idea, was on the tour. I'm like, what if she was like in this, rivalry with some other guy? But there are pieces of me, in there, especially the passion that she has for these whales and for the science behind it and how important research is.
I love that so much. I think that gives readers a unique perspective, and it's like an add-on, right? You get to learn about some awesome information about, these whales and the ocean. And I love that it has kind of this subplot of trying to help with the environment.
Yeah.
Love that.
Well, you always hear, write what you know. And this was one of those instances where I was like, I'm really going to try to write what I know and put that behind these characters and the plot.
So what books or authors have inspired you to write romance?
Yeah. So I actually grew up reading a lot of sci-fi and fantasy, and romance was not on my radar. I said my first book was a fantasy. It was actually young adult fantasy, but I would devour romances on TV and in the movies. So I watched just every romance movie you could think of. I've most likely have seen it in TV shows. And so I knew kind of how the story formula is supposed to go in a romance, and kind of the beats of it from watching so many films. And after I had written a fantasy book and decided, I need to be focused on this and take it seriously, I think the easiest thing for me, and I don't mean in any way that it's easy to write a book, but it was the easiest way for me to plan a book was through a romance, because I knew, okay, these characters have to have a meet cute, and they have to do this, this, and this, and there has to be a dark moment, and there has to be, so it came naturally for me to switch to romance. And my first romance was a Christmas romance, because that's my favorite thing. I love holidays, and I love romance stories, and I said, I'm just going to go for it. And that's how it started.
You mentioned fantasy, you mentioned sci-fi. So we know you write other genres. So tell us a little bit about those books and maybe what you've got in the works in the other genres.
I just released in September the first in a series called Mist and Divide, and the series is called the Soulquake series. And it's about a land that is destroyed by these quakes, and it broke the land into these 10 territories. And we follow the main character is from the northernmost territory, and it's very cold and desolate. She's a huntress, and she is trying to find out what is causing these quakes. She's recruited sort of into an army to, defeat who they feel is causing the quakes. And then we see through her eyes how not everything is as it seems, and the kind of decision she has to make with, her family surviving and helping this world unite against this common enemy. Which was really fun to write. And that's a series of 3 books. So one will come out each September. And then I actually have a rom-com coming out next May. And I'm excited about this because it merges my 2 loves, romance and a bit of sci-fi in it. And it's about a romance writer who is cursed to live through her romance novels.
Oh my gosh, that sounds awesome.
Drags her ex-boyfriend into this mess, and they have to go through her stories, trying to survive through these stories, and break the curse. So there's a little bit of, I like to say it's like quantum leap-ish, transporting to these stories with her ex-boyfriend. So that was fun.
I already love the theme of all of your books with this science. There's just like this little bit of science in there, and I love that so much. It's like your very own Easter egg,
Right.
your books. It sounds like you have your hands full with writing. So what's your writing routine look like?
I'm very fortunate in that I can work from home, and writing is my full-time job. So I send the kids off to school in the morning. I get in a little bit of writing and do my workout. And I always have about 2.5 hours or so before lunch where I am focused on writing tasks. And if I don't finish those after lunch, I finish those. And then I'm on the social media. And it's one of those things that I have to be disciplined about, or else I will not be posting anything. So I've tried to improve on planning out, what I'm posting and where, and making engaging videos. And it's the part that most of us authors shun. And they're like, why do we have to do this? But that is really where a lot of focus has been the past couple of months, because I've having, Romancing Rivals release, and I had this fantasy release last month, and then I have another one in May. So it's really a balancing act of getting my words in, getting edits in. I think at one point I had galleys to review, I had developmental edits for another book, and I had copy edits for a third book, all in 1 month.
Yeah. When you're sitting down, what is your favorite go-to drink that you gotta have next to you? What's
Unfortunately, I do not drink caffeine. I would love to drink caffeine, but it is not friendly with me. So I am just plain water, or sometimes I'll do the caffeine-free Pepsi or Coke. But yeah, my husband's the coffee drinker, and I smell it and I hear him roasting the coffee, brewing the coffee, and I'm like, I really wish I could have some caffeine. Especially after
it does help in some situations, that's for sure.
I posted a social media post about this, just because people find it funny that I have a little space heater under my desk, and a lot of it is just hearing the white noise, not so much about the heat. So I run that, and sometimes I run it in the summer, and my husband is like, why are you running the heater in the summer? I'm like, it's part of my routine. I just like hearing that noise. It totally tunes me out of everything that's going on around me, and I'm focused on my words. So I tell just let me keep it, because it helps me focus. It's 95 outside.
You know what? You just made me feel so much better. I run my space heater all year round. I love it. It's my best friend.
I'm the opposite. I have my fan out all year round.
I know some people listen to music, but it's hard for me to. I sometimes do it when I'm editing, but it's hard for me to listen to music, because then I start, paying more attention to the music than the words in front of me, because I love music so much that I start listening, and then I find myself sidetracked.
Do you ever listen to your band, or you get hooked on a favorite song and then stories start developing? Because I do that a lot.
Sometimes I ever since I was maybe in middle school, I would listen to soundtracks in movies, and I mean original scores type of soundtracks. So a lot of instrumentals. I play the flute, so it was big for me, in middle school when Jurassic Park was out, and all the big John Williams pieces were out. So when I listen to music when I'm editing or reviewing the galleys, I tend to listen to that kind of music, and I feel like that music sets moods. Like it gives you a mood. It can, I don't know, you get a theme going kind of with that type of music. And then you think, ooh, this could be good for, a dark, spooky tale, or, this is so fun and lighthearted. I could see this working for, a rom-com. And so sometimes it does give me ideas like that when it's really moody music that's appropriate for a certain type of story. It gets me thinking.
Is Maiden's Bay a real place, or is it inspired by a real place?
It's inspired by a real place, but you won't find it on the map. I did live in Seattle for a time, so I'm familiar with some of the area in the Pacific Northwest. And like I said, I've been to Vancouver. So I take inspiration from the places that I've been. And then when I don't have the information I need, I obviously research. Maiden's Bay was something that I came up with. And I really loved the Oregon, Washington coast. And there are these small towns still that have that small town feel. And you wouldn't think in 2025 that you can go to some small town in the Pacific Northwest. You just think everything's like Seattle. It's big city, crowded. But I was just at Seaside, Oregon, and I was blown away with the small town feel there. I don't know if either of you have been there before, but they have this quaint boardwalk and these lampposts, and each lamppost has a little plaque on it that has names of the people who donated for those lampposts. And I'm thinking that would be a great story to see, what are these people's stories behind, sponsoring these lampposts along the boardwalk. So places like that inspire me to write small town, and come up with Maiden's Bay. And the geography is something, that I try to be true to life with. And some of the main roads are true to life when they're on the highway, for instance. So I do try to make it as real as possible, but I make up all of the, town amenities. Everything's made up there.
We've already seen some themes, right? We've seen a lot of the science themes, which I'm obviously a really big fan of. And romance, there's those tropes that, we're seeing. Are there any other themes that you kind of put in your books, like little Easter eggs, or that you find yourself keep coming back to?
I feel like I tend to lean towards second chances. And I don't mean that just in the romance sense, where it's exes coming back together. It's more like finding a new career or finding a new path, that it's never too late for a second chance in what you're doing with your life, whether that be a boyfriend or your job or where you're going to live. The book before Romancing Rivals, we have a character who moves from Texas to Maiden's Bay because she had participated in something that was really tragic for her. And she thought, I'm going to start fresh. And I feel like that's a theme that runs through my books, that a lot of these characters start fresh in something in their lives. And I wholeheartedly believe that you can always start fresh, no matter what stage you are in life, because look at me, I was in biostatistics. I feel like, wherever your passion is leading you, it's okay to pursue it. Thinking back on themes, it did surprise me a bit to think like, oh, I really put this in almost every single book of mine. There's some sort of form of second chance in there.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of a character, I'd say in the second book in the series, Practicing Partners, the hero of the story is someone who's kind of like the bachelor playboy, baddie that we see at the start. And I feel like his character arc is something that surprised me. I knew where he was starting and where I wanted him to end up, but the way he got there, I thought was actually, not to toot my own horn, but it was beautiful. The way, his experiences with the female main character, how that helped him develop, how his thoughts changed from this person that was, this woman and that woman, and oh, well, I'm living the bachelor life, to reassessing and having his second chance at, what he wants to pursue and what is really valuable to him. That was something that I thought, wow, I feel like I really like this guy. Like, you're supposed to not like him at first.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I'm liking him by the end too. Like, so hopefully readers feel the same way.
Have you had any fan reach out about specific characters, or do they feel like there's any memorably? Oh boy. memorable that was a hard word. Fan moments, so with that character or others.
I did get an email from a woman who read my first Christmas romance, and she was attached so much to that hero that she did not like a decision he made and said, "Oh, you got this wrong. He was supposed to do this." And, reading it, I was like, oh, but then I had to look back and say, she was so attached to him. Like, it was a personal thing that, she really had empathy for this character and felt like she knew him and knew what he would do, and said, oh, but the dark moment that happened, like, he wouldn't do that. Like, you need to fix that.
I know, as an avid reader, I have felt these before. You get connected.
I'm like, I'll just be flattered that she connected with him and read all the way through, and she felt so passionate that she should reach out to me to point it out. So,
not like, I'll take that into consideration.
Yeah. I did thank her. Well, thank you for reading and sharing your opinion.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I just had a romance in my head with him, okay?
What's your favorite part of publishing a new book?
I don't know if this is common or rare, but I like editing. I like going from first draft to second draft, because first draft, I have the bones. I have what I want to happen with the plot and the characters that I want in there. And when I go from first draft to second draft, that is when I really put the meat on the bones, where everything feels like it comes together. And I think, okay, I have a story here that's going to work. After the first draft, I think, oh, this probably, like, it looks like garbage. But then you go from that to the second draft, at least for me and the way I write, that step is like the revelation that, okay, this is working as a story, and I love where this is going. And that's my favorite part. Reviewing galleys and things like that. I mean, that you get excited because it's so close to release. But I feel like release is kind of Christmas Day after you've opened the presents. Where you're like,
I love that metaphor.
okay, all that is done.
Now what?
all the prepping up to it is the exciting part, right? Like, I can't, you're getting ready for it, you're getting closer, and then release happens and you're like, okay, I've opened the presents.
So we've already kind of talked about like what you have 2 other series that you're working on. Is there anything else that's, you're working on, working towards in the next year or two?
How much do you want me to write? No. All of that, Mary. I have a seed of an idea for another fantasy series. I'm finishing up the 3rd in the Soulquake series. So that will be done by the 1st of next year. At least, my part of it. And then we do developmental edits and all that. But I have a seed of an idea for a new fantasy. And I have another idea for a rom-com. And I want to say it has something to do with AI, but AI will not be used in writing it.
I love that.
Kind of an idea playing off of how AI can be used in the dating world. So that's all I'm going to say about that one. Except I haven't totally, written an outline yet. We'll see if I stick with it.
But in general, a very good question for actual reality.
Speaking of couples, whether it's AI or not, who's your favorite romance couple? It could be in a book, it could be in a film, TV show. Who's your number one?
Yeah. Have you guys seen Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
Yes.
No. So Amy Santiago and Jake Peralta, like I stand them.
I love it.
But I feel like, there's been enough years since that series has ended that I could say that.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry, Lindsay.
Okay. But Jake is so goofy and disorganized, and he's just fun and a hoot. And Amy is very straight-laced and type A and organized. And I find a lot of myself in her, and I'm attracted to the funny, goofy person. And I feel like those two, I never scream at the TV or, gasp. But the proposal between those two, the proposal he did, I was shocked, and I had a physical reaction like, and I'm not very expressive like that when I'm watching TV, but that one did me, and I'm like, I love these 2 characters together. Like, nothing better happened to these characters from here on out. So they're my couple, Amy and Jake.
So for the Maiden's Bay series, okay, we already know Jake and Amy. You'd probably cast them, but who else would you cast as, potential?
Yes. So I was thinking about this, and I was thinking, Bree is the whale-watching tour guide on the boat, and she has some sass to her, and she voices, what she feels a lot. And I thought Florence Pugh would be good for her, even though I may not get the age group right. I mean, I know, I wrote characters in their 20s, but I feel like she would be so great as Bree. And I had to write his name down because Tom Pelfrey. Do you know who he is? He is in Ozark and Task on HBO recently.
All right.
He's married to Kaylee Cuoco.
Okay.
And I think he is so amazing. He's such an amazing actor, but he has that outdoorsy, rugged helicopter flying. Look, I feel like he would be so great. And those 2 together, I think just the acting powerhouse there between those 2. I think it'd be fun to see them both in a romance.
I'd watch it.
Yeah.
So romance is all about soundtracks, I feel like, So I know we kind of pre-show here talked a little bit about how it was going to be really hard for you to just name one. So I'm going to let you name 3 songs.
It's going to date me because I feel like a lot of 90s tunes are what I would pick.
Yes.
90s kind of and 90s swoon romance songs, some Celine Dion in there.
I was gonna say, yeah, so Celine Dion in there.
There's just something about the romance music in that decade that I feel like almost nostalgic for, but I feel like people are missing out on it now. Like I feel like my kids are missing out on that kind of music. Then I think that's probably what my parents thought. When I was younger, they're like, "Oh, our music was the best."
Thank you for joining us. If you loved going beyond the margins with us today, subscribe and come back for more stories. Keep reading, keep writing, and we'll see you next time on West of the Page.